Hey guys, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Annie. You may know us from the TLC show Gypsy Sisters.
We're coming to you guys from our very own new podcast called the Gossiping Gypsy Sisters.
Today, we're answering all your burning questions from season 2, episode 2, Fist of Fury.
Let's dive in.
Question 1, Kayla, this is for you. There's been so many rumors of people trying to say that you've cheated on Richard and that Mellie and Nettie has proof of it. Would you like to tell your fans the real truth?
I would love to clear that up. One, we're talking about Nettie and Mellie that's never been in my business in their life. Me and my kid's father lived a very, very private life. So when we come about our divorce and we both started moving along, what looked like I was moving along to the world may have looked like moving along with cheating because we never kept anyone in our business, not him or me. Our marriage was absolutely over before I ever even thought about moving on. So, my moving on for me, they're going to take that and run like a bunch of children in a candy store because we get to talk about Kayla because we don't know Kayla's life. So, yeah, of course they're going to say that. Yes, I moved on. Yes, he moved on. None of it was cheating at all. Our marriage was over. Nettie knows that when she put her body down in my wedding dress, when me and my current husband was supposed to be renewing our vows, when I give her my dress and she fit down in that, she knew right there my marriage was done because she wouldn't have wore my dress. So, question number 2, Annie, for the burning questions. The fans want to know, do you have a picture of you in any of your wedding dresses? Or can you just tell us anything about any of your former wedding dresses that you ever wore?
My wedding dress with Josh was made by Sandra Celli. And if you go on Google and Google search Annie TLC show Gypsy Sisters, I'm sure there'll be plenty of pictures that will pop up of me and my big lighted up wedding dress.
It was a winter wonderland thing. That was a pretty dress though, because the trail
Yeah,
came off of it, and that bitch turned into a party dress. So it was like you had the trail for the owl, but then the the big part of the trail
one of
detached and
that.
come into it was one of a
Man,
kind. It was one of the prettiest wedding dresses I've ever seen. As for me, when I got married to my kid's father, I didn't wear a wedding dress. I done a traditional gypsy wedding. I went down to the courthouse, and if I can remember this correctly, I was in a pair of jeans, white top, and a pair of heels. That's what I got married in. And I had just recently found out I was early in pregnant when I got married. So I didn't do the traditional poof wedding dress. Now, when Richard and I were going to do our renewal, then I did go pick out a wedding dress because I never got married in a wedding dress. But then if you Google search that, Nettie wore that because that's where my divorce was kicking in. I didn't need it. I passed it down to Nettie. She got my hand-me-downs. She got my wedding dress. She got a very, very, very elegant, super classy, traditional gypsy wedding dress directly for me. It wasn't over the top, it was just elegant. Yours, I would say, was over the top, hands down. Mine was just a very sleek, elegant wedding dress that I eventually gave to Nettie. So that's the only dress I ever bought was that one.
Kayla, another fan question was people's asking, you said early on that Richard wasn't controlling, and then later on in the seasons, you said Richard was controlling. So can you clear that up for your viewers?
I most certainly can clarify that. So throughout my marriage with my kid's father, he was not that controlling. As time moves forward, we're actually filming real life situations. He acted in a way that I've never seen him act before, which came off as a little bit controlling. So, with that being said, no, he was not controlling all of our marriage. No, he most certainly was not. But there come a time that a little bit of the controlling come in, and you cannot predict when someone's going to be 100% okay with the things you do, or maybe somewhere down the line, someone decides to get controlling. The controlling didn't last very long because our marriage didn't last very long. And I felt like when that controllingness stepped in, we were on the backside of our marriage. So I don't know. I feel like he was spinning out of control, which wasn't a normal act of him. With that being said, he was not always controlling. I guess at that point, that was just his moment. And it come across as controlling. Okay, so question number 4 for burning questions was from all of our fans on both sides. Would we ever do this show again? Ever. Like, ever again with them?
I would never do it with Mellie and Nettie and them. If it was something to do with me and you, maybe. But I would never do it again with those. The show ruins our family. It went to their head. I'm not going to say the show itself ruined our family, but it went to their head and it made it, I don't know. No, I would not do it again.
As for me, I would never do this show with them ever again, only because my inner peace is a lot more peaceful than linking up with them and going, there's never a moment that you can say you can enjoy. If they think that there's a spotlight there, they want 100% of that. What does that mean? At all costs, it does not matter what they have to do, knock you down, drag you, run you down. Whatever they got to do to be center spotlight, they're going to do. So if there was ever another opportunity, they could have that spotlight because it's not worth it to me to ever do it again.
A follow-up question is, would we ever do a show with our kids or in me and you? Like, would we ever start our own deal?
Oh, no question asked. I would absolutely do a show around my children, your children, our current lives with our current actual real life situations. Absolutely, hands down, yes, I would.
Kayla, another question is, when did you finally realize that Mellie was the one starting the drama, stirring the pot between you and that?
To be completely honest, early in, I didn't think that Mellie would cause like that type of problems between me and Nettie. But in the same sense, if this makes any sense at all, I do know that Mellie has a potential of 99.9% of starting trouble anywhere she's ever been in her life. So, although I knew that Mellie had a special connection with me and I did with her, she would come to me and butter me up more than normal, which made me think, wait a minute, are you over here trying to butter me up just to go back over there and stir the pot? I knew that early in. I just didn't let her know that I knew what I knew because she would stir it a little bit harder. So I like to just try to play deaf ear, and that worked for the longest time until she just flat out caused the worst problems imaginable, and that was that fight. And I know she's a pot stirrer. I knew that, and I've always knew that. This was one of those things where you just kind of trust someone, I guess, to an extent. But even to that extent, I couldn't trust her. I didn't even need to trust her with anything important. Just being normal. She would leave for me on a normal day and go to Nettie and talk shit that was never even discussed. And where I seen a problem there was I knew that she was trying to stir shit. But why didn't Nettie? That's her sister. She knows her better than me. I knew all that in advance. Nettie knew it too, but she used that to grab some more of that spotlight, some vital stuff that really wasn't going on. She knew that Mellie was just trying to start shit all the time. Never once did she act like she cared. She used it to her advantage for spotlight. Question number 6, Annie, for burning questions was, how did we meet our current husbands? I'll let you go first.
Well, see, my husband is Benny's brother, which is Kayla's husband. Kayla and Benny was together for a year. I went through a separation with Jamie and we got together. And we've been together ever since. Here it is. October will be 6 years. I saw him at the beach. He ended up getting a hold of me on Facebook and we just hit it off from there. And Kayla, how did you get with Benny?
He was a suggested friend on my Facebook for a long, long time. And I got on Facebook one night and he popped up as a suggested friend again, like 3 years down the road. I already had my eyes on him and I didn't even know who he was. But when he popped back up, I requested him to be a friend. And I never knew that that one request to be a friend would lead into where we are today in marriage. Actually, I didn't know that, but I kind of felt this connection that I can't explain, because how do you get a connection to someone you don't know? That's how I felt. I don't know why. It's unexplainable. And we are 7 years later and couldn't be any happier. Another follow-up question was for us, Annie, what's the biggest challenge being married to brothers?
Well, here's the biggest challenge. I'm going to tell you. When Kayla gets a new golf cart or something that she didn't, then of course you always got to go get me whatever she got. Maybe fatter or the same thing, you know? Brothers got to stick with, if whatever she gets, I got to get, or whatever I get, of course she's going to go get.
Annie, let's be honest, it's competition. We're married to brothers. The brothers are married to sisters. If one brother gets, the other brother's got to outdo. And if one sister gets, the other sister has to outdo. I tell you, it's been hell keeping up with the Kardashians lately. You know what I mean?
She lives in a campground. I moved in a campground 2 months later. They moved to across the world. I moved across the world. You got to do. We got to follow each other.
That's the perks of being married to brothers.
Hey, you got a fifth wheel. I had a bumper pull, but what did I have a few months later? My
fifth wheel. Same length and all. No difference whatsoever. So, Annie, question number 7 was, how are we dealing with all the negativity and the backlash that we're getting off the podcast that we are currently doing?
Well, I'll tell you how I'm dealing with it. The old me probably would have been up there, all up in the middle of it, all up in the mix of it. Me now, I've grown up over the years. I've learned a lot. And I just tell her, I just don't give a fuck. Let them talk. They're going to talk. There's going to be negative. I don't care about it anymore. I don't care to see it. I don't care to feed into it. I just want to keep living my life and doing what I do.
Would it be fair to say that for the last 10 years, I have told you, Annie, what gets to a person more is to turn your right cheek to anything that's coming for you. With that being said, hold on. With that being said, it's sad, but it's true. The more we have turned our cheek to all this negativity, the harder they come. So there's no such thing as, if you keep your mouth shut, it'll stop. No, baby, that's the conquer. You keep your mouth shut, they're coming 10 times harder. They're promoting you 10 times more, and we're reaping all the benefits of the motor mouse. I'm loving it personally. I love it.
Yeah, the old me probably would have been up there arguing and entertaining it all. The new me don't do that anymore. I don't do that. Don't care to do it. I could be on to their face right there and wouldn't care to do it.
And the truth of the matter is, I'm not trying to necessarily throw a religious point out there, but at the same time, I do have a religious standpoint that I want to stand with. The Bible says to leave the vengeance to the Lord. And if you leave the vengeance to God, God's going to handle it his way. And God spoke big, big things when he said the enemy will work for you if you leave the enemy alone. These enemies that we've got, they're working for us. The more we leave them alone, the harder they're promoting us, y'all.
Question number 8, Kayla. They want to know, fans want to know how we're feeling about all the positivity we're getting from the podcast.
Honestly, it's coming from me. It makes me feel very good. And it also gives me the drive to continue promoting our podcast, going further and further and further. The more light that shines from this, the harder I want to go.
Me too. Same.
Be sure to come back, guys, when we discuss the season 2, episode 3, the blame game, when Sheena and Joanne try to create peace amongst the ladies. Can you imagine that, Annie?
And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and send in all your burning questions. For now, bye, y'all.